Welcome to a Stuart Beam Engine bought online, part 5. This old Stuart Beam engine is a bit of a mess to say the least, and in this episode I start by shortening the piston rod to prevent the piston hitting the bottom of the cylinder. I disconnected the Watt's parallel motion to do this. The piston was refitted to the cylinder using a cable tie to compress the piston rings, drilling a detent to locate the grub screw in the valve gear rocking shaft. This opening image is out of sequence. I wanted to show something that everyone should have in their workshop, a pair of pliers like these. And what is so special about them is the complete absence of any serrations between the jaws. Ideal for gripping things that you don't want to mark, like a piston rod for instance. By rotating the engine without any air going into it, I'm pretty sure that the piston is hitting the bottom of the cylinder on the downstroke. So there's only one thing for it. I'm going to shorten the piston rod. I have to be very careful here and not remove too much of the piston rod. In actual fact, I only removed a small amount using my bandsaw, then I cleaned it up on the 1-inch belt sander. First of all, I need to release the bolts that hold the top cylinder cover in place. This was a very simple job using my socket screwdriver. After removing the 4-cylinder bolts, I separated the cover from the cylinder using the Stanley knife blade method. I've shown this many times. In this clip, I'm unscrewing the piston rod from the rest of the Watt's parallel motion. I didn't show the cutting of the piston rod, it was a very quick job on the bandsaw. What I am going to show though is reducing the thickness of a nut in the lathe to make it fit on the end of the piston rod to hold it in place to the Watt's parallel motion. And here we go, it's a very simple turning job. I literally reduce the thickness of the nut, taking fine cuts so I don't damage it. I stopped the lathe a couple of times to have a look at the nut to see how thin it was getting. And I think this should be about right. I removed approximately the same amount of metal from the nut as I did from the piston rod, so it should all go back together fine. This is a test fit of the piston to make sure it looks okay. This engine has 2 cast iron piston rings, and to fit them in place I used a cable tie as you can see here. But to show that a piston ring compressor is not essential for this job, here I'm fitting the rings using a screwdriver, which with a bit of practice works just as well, but takes slightly longer. Once the piston was back in the cylinder, all I had to do was retighten the 4 bolts that hold the cylinder cover to the cylinder. All I can say about this is assembly is the reverse of disassembly. And as usual, just post a warning about not over-tightening small bolts on steam engines. After tightening the 4-cylinder cover bolts, I turn my attention to the valve timing. The position of the eccentric really does not check out. I can time the engine, but there's something wrong. In the next episode, I will show what the problem is. This is only part of an obsessive tweaking session to try and get the eccentric in the right place. The valve gear rocking arm kept moving on the shaft. One quick fix for this is to very carefully drill a detent using a drill that is considerably smaller than the hole in the rocking shaft because you don't want to damage the threads. For the final detent size I used 1 drill size up from the one I'm using here, which I think is 5/64 of an inch. This will allow the tip of the grub screw to go into the detent and hold the rocking arm to the rocking arm shaft very securely. Well, the good news is the engine's not knocking quite as badly as it did before because the piston isn't hitting the bottom of the cylinder, but it's still not quiet, and really I think this is a bit too far gone to be practical. I would have to make so many parts that the cost of the job would be much more than the engine was worth. I think you should bear this in mind before you randomly bid on a steam engine online. The nut that I showed being shortened in the lathe was actually a bit damaged, so I repeated the process with a brand new nut, and here I am fitting it to the piston rod. Then once again I screw the entire assembly into the Watt's parallel motion. This is a bit of a déjà vu, but I wanted to show the nice new nut, which is much better than the previous one. Now the engine is running much better than it did. It's still not perfect, and I don't think it ever will be, but it's getting there slowly but surely. I can see, hear and feel that there is something wrong with the valve events. Very shortly in a future episode I will show how I put this right. Here's a flashback to show what the engine sounded like when I received it. It sounded terrible. It still doesn't sound perfect, but it's getting there. Unbelievably, this engine is quite stiff when you turn the flywheel. This is unfeasibly slow. I can't believe it's running with so little air going into it. It's taken quite a while. I don't wish to mention that. Yet it will run very, very slowly. But I can clearly see there's a problem with the valve events. It's impossible to get the events the same at each end of the stroke. To get the engine to run at all, the valve events have to be precisely in one position. Not a 16th either way, they have to be in precisely this position, which is not the right one. Time for a bit of slow motion. There's still a bit of a clunk, and I'll try and put that right, but I can't promise with this engine as it is in very bad condition. And that concludes this episode. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found it useful. Please take the time to visit my Mainsteam Models website and click on the section of the website that says Video Playlists. And by doing that, you can find other videos that you may like to watch. And by using the playlists, you can actually watch the videos back to back.